will let the show begin. So again, want to thank everyone for joining us today. It's a pleasure to be here with Tod and Justin Purvis, aka the Purvis brothers. And I want to just go through a couple of things here before we really get started, a few housekeeping things. What we're going to do is we're going to go through this webinar, this live stream, however you want to phrase it, and we are going to definitely take Q&A, questions and answers at the end. So I encourage everyone, I'm sure you're going to have questions, I hope we're going to have questions, not to be shy and to definitely interact with these two amazing individuals. So we'll leave the Q&A for the end, and I will let you know when we will open that up. If you do have questions, you can send them through right now through the chat. You can send it through the chat, or you can send it as a Q&A button. So you have a Q&A button, you can send it through the chat, or you can also click on the button to raise your hand. And that is how you will get my attention, and we will go from there. But again, I really encourage you to raise your hand. We will bring you into the conversation. You can either have your video on. I encourage you to do so. If not, you'll just have your audio. Again, no one should be shy, and I encourage everyone to participate. So today, as I mentioned before, we have the honor of having Tod and Justin Purvis, the Purvis brothers. Thank you so much for joining us. Both Tod and Justin are diagnosed, both are legally blind with a sight loss condition, a degenerative eye condition called choroideremia. Mike, did I pronounce that right? Choroideremia?
Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
Excellent. And again, so I mentioned they are both legally blind, and I would think that I myself am sighted. However, I would have to assume that majority of the individuals who are participating or on this webinar today are living with a sight loss condition. And I think that's what really makes this so much more impactful, and that's why we are doing these webinars. So you guys have embraced, sight loss as far as living with sight loss after you were diagnosed, and you guys really went on this massive journey, which we're going to get into momentarily, to create the awareness as far as what it's like to be living with sight loss and just recently being diagnosed with sight loss. So you guys went on this amazing road trip, and you were able to film it, document it, and create a full feature-length documentary, if that is the official lingo in Hollywood. And so I have to tell you, it's actually quite fascinating how I was able to connect with Tod and Justin. So just actually last week, as many of you know, I see a lot of familiar faces here. Many of you know we've been doing these webinars. We've had some very fascinating people on. We've had Dave Steele has been a regular. We've had our sight loss support group. We've done some technology. We've also done with Sam Seavey from The Blind Life. And, we've been trying to find, great, people to bring on here to share experiences, create more awareness, and bring everyone together during these difficult and definitely challenging times. So I happened to see I was blind carbon copied on an email. Again, this is just last week. I was blind carbon copied on the email of a customer from the low vision shop wanting to know the status of an order that they recently placed. And that would be Tod, who sent that email through.
That was me.
And see, look what you created here. And Tod was actually checking on the status of his Gives a Hand LED mobility cane. And if any of you are out there, we've been notifying you that production is delayed due to COVID-19, and we are hopeful we're going to have another update within the next week or so, and we will definitely reaching out to you to provide you with an update. But anyway, Tod sent an email through to customer service, and I was blind carbon copy, and I like to see what's going on in the company as far as how customer service is handling the inbound emails. And I looked at the email, and what caught my attention was Tod's title in his footer of the email, and in the signature section, actually, the signature in the footer. And so what I did was, and again, I'm just going to be completely transparent, and I told you this, I was like, wow, this is very fascinating. So I quickly Googled, and I quickly realized that this is going to be someone who I really want to speak with, and now is not the time to be shy. And I picked up the phone, and I called Tod. And so at the Low Vision Shop and at Low Vision Specialists in Maryland, Virginia, we are all about sight loss, low vision, blindness, but more importantly, I personally feel that sight loss does not have enough of a recognition, enough awareness out there. And so on my part, I really do a tremendous amount of work to create whatever we can when it comes to the awareness as far as individuals being diagnosed and living with sight loss and dealing with sight loss. And so we go through great lengths to really bring that, it should be it's at the forefront for us. That is what we do. Again, we always say we eat, sleep, and breathe sight loss. And so when I saw that both of you, two actors in a movie called Driving Blind, I said, I got to have you guys on here. We got to do this webinar, and we need to create the extra awareness, especially now during COVID-19, where so many people are working from home, and everyone has a little extra time now. Minus your commute. Some people are commuting for 30 minutes, an hour. I have to have a longer commute, but in any event, we all have a little extra time. I think this is a great opportunity because I'm pretty certain that most people here have not heard of Driving Blind until today, until we start promoting it. So again, I'm going to hold off from doing a little speaking. Again, thank you so much for joining us today. It's a really great honor to have both of you here. And Tod, let you just start off. What have you been doing during COVID-19? How are you keeping yourself occupied?
Well, I'm still working. My company that I work for, I'm an editor for television, and my company was gracious and had the ability to give me equipment to work from home. So I've been working straight from home for the last month-ish and kind of going crazy, but it's not that bad.
It's not that bad.
Go for walks, get out of the house. So I have to keep the world entertained.
I hear you. And what would we do without you?
Thank you for your service, Tod. Thank you for your service.
I know it's your favorite show, Barry. Real Housewives of Beverly Hills. You're addicted. You can admit it. Now's the time. We're going to love you through this. But I'm an editor for that show. And like I said, my company's been great. Gave me equipment, gave me the opportunity to keep working, not shut down. So that's what I've been doing for the last 4 weeks. Seems like a year, but.
Okay, but that's great. You've adapted. You have a new routine, and I think we all are. We're rolling with the punches. It's definitely, and I think it's important that we all have our set routines. Even though it feels like, everything's like a free for all. It's just like, I've been doing a lot of binge watching. Like last night, I was up till 2 in the morning. There was a little binge watching on Netflix. But luckily I rolled out of bed on time, as usual, early, and been sitting at my desk since then. So it's definitely.
I have realized that I can't work without shoes on, though.
That's very fascinating.
I have to put socks and shoes on.
That is very fascinating that you say that, because I feel the same way. I actually saw this online. A friend of mine had posted on Facebook that he is also someone that preaches as far as how important it is to get dressed every day, to try to stick to your routine as close as you can, right? And so for me, I'm a little, more casual as far as what I'm wearing, because I'm primarily in the house. But I tried one day in my temporary office. I tried one day coming down in my slippers and with no socks.
And it's weird, right? Yeah.
It's very weird, and it did not work. So it did not work. I'm wearing my sneakers and my socks today. So, or, and my shoes and so on and so forth. So
no pants, but shoes and socks.
There you go.
Yeah. Hey, business socks.
No one has to see what's going on,
That's the truth.
So Tod is in California, Pasadena. Justin, where are you coming to us from?
I'm in Louisville, Kentucky, and so you're in Virginia. So I have no excuse for this, Todd, for running behind. We're in the same time zone, but for whatever reason, I was thinking thought you guys were all the way out in California, and but yeah, I'm in Louisville, Kentucky.
Louisville, Kentucky. Okay. How are things doing in Louisville? Did you guys get that nasty storm yesterday or the day before?
We had a bad storm. It made, major wind warnings for the 36 hours the previous night leading into the yesterday. But everything still is there. We're all here, or at least that's what I think. Everyone in my house is still here.
Okay, good. Glad you checked. No, that's great. And so what have you been doing while, just keeping yourself busy as far as your routine?
Sure. For the most part, I agree with what you guys are saying. Like we have a routine and we stick with it. Like I get up at 5 a.m. and I run 4 miles on our little machine down in the basement, and I have some time before our son gets up. But for me, I actually am still working as well. So I have been extremely lucky that I got involved with the Randolph-Shepard Act and the Kentucky Business Enterprises, the blind vendor program that they have in, I believe, 48 states that allows people who are low vision or legally blind or actually fully blind to operate businesses in government and federal buildings. So I have 2 cafeterias that I run. I still run them, but they're closed right now. But I also have about 30 or so vending machines scattered around various government buildings. So those are what I'm doing right now. So I'm there making sure that they're stocked up, making sure they have change. It's a tremendous program. So if your viewers and fans don't know about it and they are low vision, it's an amazing program they should look into. It's a great way if you're a self-starter, like so many of us, like the 3 of us are, we just keep working, and it's a program that always needs help, always needs new blood, because once people get in, they stay with it for as long as possible because it's such a wonderful program, an amazing opportunity. I get to own my own business with the help of, the Randolph-Shepard Act. I don't have to worry about paying a lease on a space. It's all in the building, in a government building. I service in Frankfort, Kentucky, a building that has 1,200 plus employees, and so we're making them breakfast and lunch every single Monday through Friday. So it's a great program, and that's what I'm doing to stay busy. But since I'm not having to be at the cafeteria that much right now because we shut down on the day after St. Patrick's Day. I am trying to stay creative, doing lots of goofy, fun videos and posting them on Facebook. Eating up lots of expired food product for everyone else to see and say, hey, this is what happens when you have 5-year-old pudding. It's still good.
Oh man, you're still here.
We're all still here.
Yeah, it's I guess it goes with the territory, right? You've been I would say you guys, I don't want to say daredevils, but I guess it's in your blood to some extent, right?
A little bit, yeah.
So tell me what it's like. And by the way, I'm really happy. You're actually the first person that I've actually ever met that's actually running a business, through the Randolph-Shepard Act. As far as everything that you explained, I give you a lot of credit for doing that. I was at a recent conference. I was telling Todd I was at a recent conference actually in California called CSUN. I don't know if you've ever heard of it. It's a big assistive technology conference specifically for low vision and blindness. And so I was actually out there on March 11th and 12th, literally right before, the whole storm of COVID-19 started to impact us. And I actually had a meeting with a gentleman from Arizona who actually runs the program for Arizona. Literally everything, I don't say word for word, but literally explains to me what he does in the state of Arizona, how he is able to provide for business owners the space and getting everyone set up from really a turnkey operation. So
it is amazing. It literally, as you walk in, when you're a vendor first in the program, they completely set you up. You get the space. You're given, in essence, capital you need, be it the money you need to purchase the product or the product itself. And you walk into it, like you said, it's turnkey. Your first month or so is covered. And then from that point on, it's your business. Run it the way you want to. You can run it into the ground or you can build it up to the sky. I've seen them both happen. But
I'm
yeah,
sure.
it is. It's such an amazing program. I mean, it's an absolute blessing for my family to be doing this, because it just is that. Like, there's so many things that both my wife and I, always wanted to be in the food industry, but just thinking about trying to be a mom and pop shop, especially like with COVID right now, so many of them won't be around after it's all said and done. But to have know for a fact that I don't have to worry about the rent, I don't have to worry about the utilities, I only have to worry about food going bad. And that's why I'm making lots of videos right now, eating all the bad food. Using it up, use it. I'm reusing it.
That's great. I'm happy to see that you're repurposing it and
exactly.
and using it, so it's not going to just get thrown out and put into a landfill. No, that's great. So, Tod, you're in California. Justin, you're in Louisville. Where did you guys grow up?
All over. My dad was in the military, so we traveled around a lot. I think we spent most of our time in Germany, but we were in Arizona, we were in Virginia, Georgia, Berlin, Maryland. We bounced around a lot.
That's great.
I concur.
You concur. So
I second that.
I grew up in Baltimore. And I actually live in New York now, and I'm in New York. But I grew up in Baltimore. Our company's based in Baltimore, so that's where my roots are. But I am like you guys. I feel like the song by I think it's Tom Cochran. Life is a highway. Mm-hmm. Sometimes I feel that is my life, because I'm like now I commute back and forth every week. Outside of on regular non-COVID days. I commute back and forth between New York and Baltimore, but my whole life I've been literally traveling, constantly moving around. And so it's nice when you have that ability to go out there and see different parts of the world, see different parts of the country. I think it's really important, and I think it helps shape us as far as our characters and who we are today. So, I know you. Well, yeah. Well, I'm going to skip this question for a second. So, Tod, you're the older brother. Is that correct?
I am.
Okay.
Older and wiser.
Older and wiser. That's why you're on the West Coast, I guess, right?
Yeah, in your own what is it, nation state now. You guys have seceded from the union.
Exactly.
So tell me, let's go back to, from what I understand, you guys were both diagnosed at two different stages in life. Is that correct?
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
So, Justin, when were you diagnosed?
So I got diagnosed when I was 14. So it was like right around 1990. They had went through the myriad of tests. They said there's a disease called geriatric atrophy. Then they said retinitis pigmentosa. Back and forth. We ended up going to a Walter Reed Medical Center, and Johns Hopkins people came in and that's when they settled on choroideremia. And they were basically like, hey, they're a 14-year-old kid. You're going to be blind by 20. Best of luck. Get out of here. But yeah, so I was 14 when I got diagnosed, and then Tod got diagnosed in 2008. So 20, almost 30 years later.
It's quite fascinating. Go ahead, Tod. No,
I knew I had it, but I wasn't officially diagnosed till about 2008. So I did notice that my first issue was that my night vision got really bad. I used to do plays in theater and study acting, and I couldn't see people behind the stage in the back curtains and stuff. So I noticed that, and that I knew I had it. It wasn't official till it was like about 2008 when I got officially diagnosed with choroideremia.
So I think we both kind of lived in denial or tried to hide it as well, because we just didn't know how to deal with it.
So you guys went off to college. Can I assume that is that accurate? After, yes. You guys went off to graduate high school, went off to college.
Yes.
And you guys, both went on and went to as far as to the areas of career what you guys are doing today. Is that accurate to say that?
Yeah, it was a long trail. Yeah. It was like a meandering river around different career paths for a while before settling in on being a father, running a cafeteria.
Gotcha. So both of you, so Justin, you're diagnosed, really early on,
yeah.
In your teenage years. Todd, obviously you know that it's there, it's coming, and you're diagnosed much later on. And how did this whole thing, as far as, you know, deciding that you're going to take this road trip, you know, how did that whole thing, you know, come about? You know, like what was the catalyst? I know obviously the catalyst as far as, you know, the sight loss was the primary, you know, piece of that. But what was, like, did you just have a dream? Did you wake up one morning and did you call Justin or vice versa? Did you say, hey, I think we should do a road trip? I mean,
no,
walk us through that.
It was kind of when I got diagnosed in about 2008. We had been discussing, as kind of a joke, I think, or not, or just an idea. Hey, let's travel around while we can and see the whole country. And we Justin and I you know, started talking back and forth, emailing back and forth, and we just started to go, hey, let's do this. And then at one point we were like, well, why don't we film it? You know,
right.
That would be awesome. And so then we're talking about, okay, well, let's just buy a bunch of GoPros and film it. I'm like, wait, hold on. I work in Hollywood. I know people. Let's try and make this an actual real film. And then it kind of just blossomed from there. And I think I'm using my hands a lot, which is weird because it's Zoom. So
that's
sorry.
Good. Acting. I like it.
So it just kind of, it blossomed from there. And you know, Justin had worked on the actual map and trip several times. And it just kind of all fell together. It was really bizarre because it was a friend of his, John, in D.C., knew a guy who was a camera guy in L.A., and he said, why don't you meet up with this Brian in L.A., Todd, and see if you guys can do this? And so I met with him, and we hit it off, and next thing you know, we're making a movie across the country. And I'm blown away that it actually happened, and we finished it.
I am so happy that you guys went through this.
Yeah, no one died. No one died.
No. I saw some snakes there, but you know.
That was the snakes. I think were the most surreal part of that particular. I mean, we were in a cage with like the tigers and stuff, but the snakes were the ones. I think for me especially, I was like, I don't want to die. I think Todd did a better job. I think he did a much better job of that. I was cool with everything. I was cool with being pooped on by lemurs and bit by tiger cubs, but the snakes, I was just like, there's one wrap around and I'm gone. These things were huge.
Yeah, right. Yeah, was it a boa constrictor or something? Yeah. So you guys, I want everyone here. We're gonna give an opportunity for everyone to watch the movie. Afterwards, I'm going to talk to everyone how they can watch the movie and all that stuff. But so you guys connected with so John put you in contact with Brian, and then that's how that whole thing started. And so Justin, you actually mapped out the actual journey. And I want to talk more about that in a second because he definitely took an interesting route, if you want to call it, right? Mm-hmm. And so who actually put together? Was it actually scripted? Did you actually write out a full script, or was it what we're going with our GoPros? This is how we're going to do it, and everything's going to be off the cuff.
So Brian, oh yeah, go ahead, Todd.
Go ahead.
Okay, I will. No, I'm going to go. All right.
I'm going to go. No, seriously.
We had ideas for stuff we wanted to do. It was all scripted. Some of the events that occurred were surprises to us by Brian. Things like the doing fireworks, things like doing
that was cool, by the way.
Deprivation.
The sensory depth tank. Those were all kind of things that Brian had brought to the story when he, as a surprise for us and playing with our other senses. But we didn't want to have a script. We wanted it to be we wanted it to be as natural as possible. And literally there were scenes that never get into and then where Brian was just like, hey, now you guys talk about X, go. And we were like,
okay,
what do you
blah blah blah,
like blah blah blah, Mount Rushmore, blah blah
we're
blah.
talking da 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 da.
So I think both Todd and I have that. We just wanted to be natural and from
I think that the big thing for me while we were shooting it, I don't think Brian even knew what he was doing. It was just like kind of like, we're doing this trip, we're filming these two guys, we're going to see what happens. And then once we were done, and once we got to post-production, it was like, how do we make this journey into kind of a vision, a story, blah, blah, blah. And I think that was the most challenging. He had an idea what he was doing, Brian had an idea what he was doing when he started it, but we weren't aware of it. I wasn't.
Right.
Yeah, that's correct. Neither of us were aware of it.
And I'm assuming that was just for the greater benefit, right? This way, you guys, your minds would be pure, and you guys would be just doing what you naturally do, versus being told do this, do that. And I understand what it's like. We were filming a lot of vlogs at one point, and it's not an easy task just to go out and start filming. I know for many of you out there who are watching and listening, you may think it's very simple. It's actually quite a difficult task to be able to even film a simple vlog, and getting all the different angles, the B-roll, all the different shots, and always being the content as well.
Right. And I think I told you this, but I've lived and worked in Hollywood for 22 years now, and I've worked on numerous independent projects that never got finished, and they were one location, one weekend, and yet this film we shot in 35 states across the country, and we actually finished the film. I mean, that blows my mind that with, 3 people, 5 counting me and Justin, we actually shot this, edited this, and now it's out there. And
right. So you guys were in the lead car for the most part, right? And then was Brian was in the trailing car? Is that what it was? You guys did it in 2 cars?
Yes, there was. They had rented a Econoline, a big white van. Three of them. So we had our Brian, the director, Ryan, who was our DP, and then Adam, who was the sound guy, they were all best friends from like high school, and they all got together and did this. And we saw the inside of that van, and we were like, you guys are the real daredevils. You guys are the real daredevils. They were an amazing crew. They were a great crew. Now, as is the thing with anyone traveling together 24 hours, we all wanted to kill each other at certain times. But sometimes, like, if we were mad at them, we would be mad at them, and if they were around, we would be happy. We'd be like, hey, here's some this, that, and the other. Here's a pack of smokes. Go enjoy yourself. Or I know they did the same thing with us. One time, I know they were angry with us, and one time Adam comes running up to the car to stop like that. Hot dog, and he just hands us both a hot dog, and then runs back to the van. But yeah, they were an amazing crew, and it was tough sometimes getting through all of it. But like Todd said, I'm amazed. And like he said, I've been involved with a lot of independent film and 48-hour film project stuff, and some of the stuff never happens. It sits there, and then I'm amazed that we got it made, especially because we all came back home to real jobs. We all came back home to real life, and Todd and Brian did an amazing job of editing the film together over the course of the 2 years post our road trip. And I was so happy when I got to fly out to LA and go to the screening and just see the final product and experience it with family and friends.
So when did you start filming? It was in 2010? Is that when you started filming?
Yeah, 2010. Yep. We hit the road. It was like the weekend after Labor Day.
It's got to be like, it was September 12th-ish, wasn't it?
Something like that.
We finished. We actually had a premiere on September 12th of 2012 when it was finished. Okay. So I know that was like
so it was right around that same time.
Almost to the day, yeah.
Tuesday. And how long was the actual journey? I mean, traveling across the country is not an easy task, and you guys are stopping off multiple locations in a day, overnighting, all that. How long did it take?
I think it was somewhere between 6 and 7 weeks. Is that right, Todd?
It was. Yeah. I mean, yes. It was between. I would say 35 and 40 days. Around that. Right.
And and you didn't stop and fly home or anything. You guys went. You went straight?
No. Yep.
We did the whole thing. We drove the entire way.
Yeah.
Canes out the window and everything.
I thought, Justin, were you able to drive at all?
Yeah.
Okay, I just want to make sure I did see you behind the wheel. Yeah, with your mobility cane, I saw that.
Todd did more of the driving, and I'll tell you, I think we both hated each other's driving. And apparently everyone hated my driving, and no one's ever told me before. They're like, you're weaving back and forth. I'm like, I'm constantly correcting. Just back off. I'm doing like they do in the movies.
I think Justin actually drove. I think we shared it about halfway because I know he drove in California because that's when we said stop driving.
Right. on the Pacific Coast Highway.
Yes.
Yeah.
No,
they didn't say that to me. I think they said it to themselves, and then Todd was like, "I'll drive. I want to drive."
We were going to that diner.
To visit Jason.
Yes, and there was almost a whole collision thing happening, and we're like, okay, I'm driving. So Justin drove for about half of it, and then I took over from there. Took over from California all the way to. Really?
I must have been really drunk.
I'm gonna call you after this, and we're gonna have
Yeah, I don't remember this near collision thing. Yeah, you'll have to remind me. I blocked a lot of it out. It was a lot of.
Oh man. I'm sure it's all great memories.
No, it really is. It's made our bond stronger.
No, you know what? I'm sure that there's you can't put a price tag on that journey what you guys took together because
that's true.
The brotherly love. I have 3 younger brothers. I've never done an extensive drive like that, but we've taken trips together. Don't do it. Don't do it. Okay.
Well, you can do it. You can do it, and then spend about 2 years apart, not talking.
Yes.
Okay.
And then live on separate coasts.
Yeah.
And just Okay.
I will tell you that.
Over 3,000 miles, and I'll stay here.
So Todd and I, we lived together as kids, but he had his friends. He had high school, and I'm 5 years younger,
right.
5 years better looking. But this was the first that we realized. Listen, we were literally together 24 hours a day for that 6-7 week period. Like we were never apart. Now the film crew sometimes went off and did their own thing, but we were never apart. And I'm actually extremely surprised because we had a very competitive childhood. So I am surprised that there were no fights. There was no kind of anger towards each other. I think what it ended up being is we would get angry at them, at the film crew, and we're like, we're bonding because we're angry at the film crew. And they were doing the same thing. So that's why we never fought with each other.
So as long as no one bolted off the scene and, everyone stayed together, got through everything.
Well, I think that was the amazing and bonding part was that since we were traveling the country, there was nowhere to go. If I'm mad at Justin, where am I going to go? I'm going to walk off 10 feet and stand there and be like, but now I have to come back to Justin because I can't go anywhere.
Walk off to my mark angrily.
Look at me, I'm walking off. Yeah.
So I have a question, Justin. I noticed you had your mobility cane all along throughout the journey, and I'm curious when you were driving, did you ever come to a place where you were driving and stop and actually get out of the car with your mobility cane and have anyone steer you like, oh my God, what's going on here?
No. The cane only came out. So for the most part, even though I only have about 7% of my vision left, the cane only comes out when I'm in crowded areas for identification. So that if I'm bumping into people, they know I'm not being a jerk. I'm being a blind jerk.
Got it.
But so that was like when we were in Vegas. I had it because it was just crowded. And when and we started when we were doing some rock climbing. I started with the cane, but I was just like, nope, this is just pointless. Just give me 3 more flashlights and just attach them to my body. Let's go. But no, I never pulled the cane. I should have. But they were never filming when we got out of the car. They were already off doing their own thing, and
they're off
that wouldn't have been. It might have been the joke wouldn't have been good enough.
Right. So where do you? I know like New Jersey, New York was was that technically the first stop on the trip? Was that correct?
Yeah, that's where we started. We started in D.C. and then we drove that first day. We drove up through Jersey, took the ferry. And went to New York City where a very good friend of mine was hosting a fundraiser event for us that night before we kind of hit the road.
Right. So I found that the route that you took was quite fascinating. Sort of you like went up, I guess was it not near through it, but I don't know. You went up towards like Niagara, towards Buffalo, right? That direction. After you guys departed New York City, you worked your way up, and then sort of made your way across the country. I thought that was quite fascinating versus just taking, let's say, I-70 straight across. And obviously, I know that you planned it out. Did you actually like hit every location that you wanted to accomplish, or
no, not at all?
No,
there were so many places we just weren't able to get to because of the time constraints.
There was a lot of stuff in the beginning of when Justin was planning the trip. There was a lot of stuff added in, and on one of stop staring at me, dude. It's freaking me. At one point in the map, Justin had us driving 1,000 miles in a day.
Oh my gosh!
I told Justin, bro, he wasn't driving at that point, I don't think, but I was like, we can't do that. That's crazy.
It was Texas. There's nothing to see.
But
just kidding. I love Texas. Barbecue's great. If anyone's from Texas.
Rules. We didn't get to Maine, which we were trying to do. We didn't get to the Florida Keys, which we were trying to do. But that would have been like a whole.
That would have been way too much. And there were constant the few weeks leading up to the start of the trip, as well as while on the trip, there were constant, almost like rewrites to the map because there were things we wanted to do, and it was true. Like I had planned like 8 hours worth of driving, and both Todd and Brian were both like, I wasn't thinking about it in that regard.
Right.
I was just like 8 hours. We still got 16 hours left of the day. It's easy.
Right.
So that definitely came into play, and we had to make some calls, and some of them I was really disappointed with. I contacted a cranberry bog up in Connecticut or Maine or someplace, and we were going to be able to like go in the bog and like
go in there. Oh, I've always wanted to do that.
Yes. Ever since I've seen those Ocean Spray commercials,
right.
But we couldn't make it out. We couldn't do that. So there were some casualties on the way. But yeah, the road trip, the actual trip, the map was an homage to our disease because it affects the peripheral first, and so we wanted to do drive the perimeter of the United States, and that was the whole main goal, was to. Not necessarily. I mean, I would love to do Route 66. I would love to do the main, across the states. But this was more like get off the main road, see things you wouldn't normally see, which is we saw a lot of things. Like there's just
I liked what you mentioned that as far as you wanted to do the perimeter of the country, and that's sort of almost representing the peripheral. That's actually quite fascinating, really, when you think about that. And I have to tell you guys definitely did some off the beaten path stops. That's for sure.
We did. I will tell you, half the time it was serendipity. One of us had to pee so bad, and we just pulled over. Like the whole. So, Barry, have you watched the movie?
I did. Yes.
Okay, so there was a bit involving Rocky Mountain oysters, and that was purely because I had to pee so bad we had to pull off. And then we saw this whole thing, and it was like, testicle festival, and we're like, what? We just got to the wrong part of town. But then they were like, yeah, we still have some. Come on in, da 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 da. So yeah, there's a lot of it was absolutely serendipity.
Yeah, guys, who are watching, Todd and Justin definitely had the opportunity to try out some fascinating delicacies. So is there anything that really stands out besides those testicles?
That's about it. I mean, that's the first thing that comes to mind. I mean, everything else was normal.
Normal-ish.
Yeah. What do you remember, Todd?
Food-wise, testicles, yes, that was probably the quote-unquote highlight. But I think, I remember the trip, most of it, as if it was yesterday. So it was a great opportunity, a great thing that we did. So, yeah, I remember all of it.
Yeah. By the way, I'm sure you're mentioning those long days of driving. For someone who's sighted, spending doing 1,000 miles in a day, 6-8 hours is definitely very tiring. But it's got to be even more tiring, because I know from, individuals, friends, people I come in contact with sight loss, it can be very, very draining to do a lot of, specific tasks. So driving for that extended period of time, it's got to be almost, brutal.
It was, it was, I remember our longest day was like on the West Coast.
That was getting from Sequoia National Park to Tracy.
Oh, we lost, there you go. Yeah. Oh, okay. We lost you there for a second. Todd, your voice. Oh, there you go. You're back.
Can you hear me?
Yeah. Yeah, we hear you. Yeah.
Weird.
So, yeah. You got about, so what go ahead. You were saying as far as on the West Coast, those are the longest drives?
Well, I think our longest drive was Portland to, I think, Sacramento. And it was about 13 hours of driving on the PCH. And we had got to one gas station, and it was like $5 a gallon. And we're just like, no. And we just kept driving. The whole way we're playing the movie game with Justin. And at a certain point, I'm just like, we're stopping at the next hotel we stop out. Stop, we find, and we're done. And we found some place in Sacramento and just, took that and fell asleep for like a week or a day.
Oh, that's why it took so long. Yeah, that's why it took so long. I thought it was very.
We never flew home, but we just stayed in hotels for weeks on end. First class, room service.
But I thought, I know you guys, you made a lot of fascinating people throughout the country. I mean, do you keep up with anyone? I'm just curious. Anyone that you came in contact with? Did you keep up with anyone?
I have some. A few of the people, there's a guy we met the very first night, one of the first nights in New York at the waterfalls, a guy named Jesse. He was a park ranger that I'm Facebook friends with.
Okay.
Other than that, no, sadly.
Okay.
I've reached out. There's a poet in New Orleans that we met.
Yeah.
By the way, that poet was, I couldn't believe the way he cranked that out on the typewriter. Is that right? The poet you're referring? Yeah, unbelievable.
Right, and I've sent him several messages through social media going, "Hey, you're in my movie. You want a copy?"
Right.
And I never heard back. But other than that, I mean, I don't know about you, Justin, but
he's a poet, man. He can't be tied down to.
You didn't know it, man.
To platforms, and he's just out there experiencing the world. No, I'm not.
You're not about that. Okay.
I mean, there's a few people like Artman, who we knew before doing the road trip,
right.
Who in New Orleans. We were connected with him because of the Choroideremia Research Foundation.
Right.
But we had gotten contact. So when we were in the North eating bull's testicles, there was a guy who was there in the film. We got an email from the gal that we were there with, saying that, he was talking about the beauty of the land, and he had passed away in between our filming the movie and our releasing the movie. And so that was kind of a heart-wrenching moment in real life to have that happen, to be like, this guy had just such a, and he talked about it. He's like, I just want to be here. Because I think we would constantly ask people, like, if you knew you were going blind tomorrow, what was the last thing you'd want to see? And he just said, like, I just want to see the mountain lions and my dogs running out in the yard. And so, yeah, that was the only kind of contact. Unfortunately, because like I said, we got back here, we got to real life, and I got married and I had a kid, and it's been.
Wait, you're married?
What?
Off the record.
Well, now it's official. I gotta tell her. I've got to tell her.
Bro.
So I'm just curious, when you're filming, right, and you're going through all these stops, did you have like a lot of people come over to you, like, let's say if I'm, traveling, or I'm in a city, whatever, and maybe they're doing some filming, right? Everyone's always enamored with filming. Did you get a lot of people coming over to you and having that ability to share your story and to give that, create that awareness? I mean, was that?
I think at some points, yes. I think the issue with the film we wanted to make was that we didn't want it to be an hour of us saying what our disease is.
Right.
So we cut a lot of that out. And sometimes people would come up and ask what we're doing, but a few times I remember people getting mad at us and going, they don't own, like when we were at Mount Rushmore, people were like getting mad at us for filming, and we're just like, we're not saying you can't be here or you can't be in the shot. We're filming something. And so, I mean, I remember one time when we first got on the ferry, we had bribed a car because we wanted to be parked behind. The crew wanted to be parked behind us, and so we bribed a family with T-shirts, going, "Can we just park our car right here? Here's some T-shirts." Right. And then Justin didn't know this, and he goes, "Hey, there's some kid wearing our T-shirt," and I go, "I know, we just gave it
to him." That's pretty funny. And you mentioned Mount Rushmore. I mean, it's pretty ironic that the day you were at Mount Rushmore, it was foggy.
Yes, it was.
We did not see Mount Rushmore until years later.
Yeah.
It's I found it to be just very ironic. Probably must have been surreal. You know, you guys are there to see it, and it's foggy, and you know we're talking about sight loss, so.
And we didn't have time to stick around. We had to hit the road, so it really was just that
was the one. That's the one thing I kind of regret, is that it was such a tight schedule that we couldn't enjoy places. Like we got to Montana Glacier Lake Park.
Glacier National Park. Yeah.
And we couldn't see it because we got there late with
and we had to leave first thing in the morning.
Grandpa, and we had to leave first thing in the morning. So it'd be great to redo it kind of and actually be able to go out and see the actual places we went to.
We'll save it for the sequel when we have big budget.
Boom.
Yeah, when Joss Whedon is producing and Paul Rudd is my stand-in and Boris Becker's yours.
I like it. Let's do this.
I have a question for you. So when you guys watch the movie, and I'm talking to people out there who are watching this, they will notice that you have all these different quotes, in between like different scenes, I guess, in different cities and stuff like that. Did you specifically add the quote for Kurt Cobain when you were in the state of Washington? I'm just curious if that was intentional.
No, that was all done. I'm like, no, sorry. That was. I think it was done intentional in post-production, but it wasn't why. It was kind of like we were going through the film as we were editing it. And we're like, we have to break this up. And we're like, let's find some cool quotes dealing with vision or dealing with life, dealing with journeys. And boom, boom. And then that Kurt Cobain one was like, happened to fall right there. We're like, hey, let's do this because it works. So.
Right. No, I caught that. So it definitely it caught my attention. So
what Todd means to say is absolutely. We were meticulous in our post-production. Everything has a meaning. A lot of it is just serendipity.
Let's be total artists. Be like, no, Barry, no, I'm sorry.
Brian would walk up with a giant cue card and say, "This is the quote that's inspiring you for this scene," and go.
What was that sensory tub, that bath like? I mean,
that was insane. I still need to see the footage for mine.
Here's the issue with that whole scene. I was terrified because Adam, who was our sound guy, is a total piercing. I have tattoos, piercing, and so I thought we were going somewhere where I was going to be hung by hooks in my skin. So we get to this place, and I'm like freaking out. I'm going, dude, I'm not doing this hanging by hooks thing because that's no. And then we get there. And I was so relieved that it was a sensory deprivation thing that I was like, woo! I'm not hanging by my skin on some hooks. So once that happened, it really affected me. I mean, it might have affected Justin differently, but it was really amazing and bizarre and a total surprise out of nowhere from the crew. So.
Yeah, I agree with that. I didn't know anything. I wasn't under the guise that we were being hung by hooks.
Right.
I thought we were going to have like cages put on our heads and bees put on us, just like Wicker Man. But no, it was a tremendous experience. And there is footage of my experience in there because for me, I can't really remember all of it. But Todd and I had two completely
100%. Yeah.
Opposite things. Like mine was, I was a little bit freaked out. Like I'm trying to remember. I think in the movie you could hear me like giggling madly. That's my defense mechanism when I'm like super stressed out. I'll start to like laugh near hysteria. But once I got in, it was to me it was very. Everything came together. Like I was making connections in the universe inside there. Not profound connections, just like, oh yeah, the Charmin bear, that kind of thing. But there was a whole lot of crazy connections going on in my head. But again, Todd, find the footage. I want to see it. We need to put it on the DVD. But yeah, Todd and I had completely different, and that's a lot of, like we talked about in the movie, like going into that, like for me, even to this day, everything I comprehend about human emotion, I've gotten from film. I don't really know how to have adult human relationships. So I'm very happy that somebody said have kids with me. But yeah, it was crazy and great. Everyone should try it.
How long were you in there for?
Half an hour.
Half an hour.
I think it was half an hour to an hour. I don't remember exactly, but
yeah, it was at least half an hour.
Half hour. Yeah, it was definitely again, very fascinating. And I've never been in one. It definitely, caught my attention. I was like, hey, maybe I should try this one day.
It's you should. I think if you can, if you're not going to be freaked out by kind of the claustrophobia of it, do it. It's amazing. And also, if you want a sneak peek, watch the TV show Fringe, and you'll see John Noble go into an oxygen deprivation tank a whole lot. Of course, he's also tripping.
So you wrap up filming, and then it takes about 2 years as far as the post editing and all that. The film comes out, and walk us through like what's the next step. So I know you guys won a lot of awards for the film.
So many awards.
I'm not gonna
give them back.
I know I'm not going to ask you to go through each one specifically because it's a very long list. And the guys, it really is a long list. But as far as did you have like a full premiere? I mean, how did you launch and start initially to get the word out?
We had a September 12th, 2012. We had a premiere. We rented a theater, an Oscar Academy Award designated theater to do a premiere, and we did that. We invited probably about 150 people to come to the premiere, and then we just did about a year of film fest after that, and it was pretty amazing. If you want to get into filmmaking, don't do it for the money because it's a very costly. Every film fest costs money to get into, and so we did film fest for a year, and then. I actually found a company that got us onto iTunes and Google Play, which is very hard to do as an independent filmmaker, do it yourself. So,
right.
I mean, it was a very enlightening and costly experience to do it yourself. But we did about a year of filmmaking or film fest, and I told Brian Griffith, the director, saying, hey, if we get into Film Fest, I want to try and send someone from the film to the festival. And we pretty much did that. It was either me or Justin or me and Justin, and Brian and Adam went to one in Utah at one point. And, we met a producer from Napoleon Dynamite who loved the film and wanted to be a part of it. So we got him on board. And so, does that answer your question, or was that rambling?
No, that's perfect. That's perfect. Because most people don't know. We hear about the Cannes Film Festival, Sundance, and this and that, but most people, don't understand and really know what it entails to go, be involved in a film festival. So it's that's I really wanted to, highlight that because again, most people are just not aware of it.
It's the biggest thing I've learned from making Driving Blind is that it costs a lot of money to make a film. And even though making our film costs us very little comparatively,
right?
Advertising, marketing, you can have the greatest film ever, and if no one knows about it, it's just going to sit there. And that's the biggest part of independent filmmaking, independent art, if you will. That's an issue.
I think that's a challenge, in any business that if you don't go out and promote, it's very difficult for people to become aware of the services that you provide and the services that you do. So, I guess it's probably even a lot harder with the competition in filmmaking. So again, it's a tremendous job. I mean, guys, it really, I enjoyed every minute of the film. I'm trying to think what my favorite part. Actually, you know what I really would call, but I happen to like cinematography. Yeah, cinematography. I happen to like a lot of the shots that you guys captured or the crew captured. I think it was nighttime. Maybe it was in Arizona with the stars and.
Oh my God. That was surreal. I'm going to tell you, Barry, that was surreal because they're setting the camera up to do a time lapse over the course of the night and stuff. And Ryan's like sitting there. It's like, wow, that's so beautiful. I'm like, what? Because I'm looking up and I see nothing. And he says, look through the viewfinder. And then we had seen like an arm of the Milky Way there. And I was like, this is what you guys see every night.
Yeah.
You guys suck. I can't believe this. Cause I can't. I see like the North Star. I see the moon.
Right.
That's it. I don't see anything else.
100%. I remember that.
I've never seen so many stars like that. Don't worry. I mean, you guys like literally captured every star in the solar system. I mean, it was incredible. I felt that surrealness to it. So,
and that's why Texas is so amazing. Made up for Texas.
And I was waiting for you guys to get arrested in South Dakota with the fireworks, by the way.
So. We almost did.
Oh, my God. So that was a surprise. And they ran. They ran away. The crew ran away.
Dude.
They ran.
Okay, Barry, stop. Justin, let me tell the story. We do this. They surprise us with fireworks, which are illegal in South Dakota.
Mm-hmm.
So we go out there, we're shooting fireworks. Poo, 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 poo. All of a sudden I see a light on at the distance. I'm like, was that light on? And we're like, I don't know. And then next thing you know, there's a dude driving in a pickup truck straight at us. And he slams on his brakes, and we're just like, I can't see. It's nighttime. He slams on the brakes. This dude, probably a 250, 300-pound trucker guy, jumps out of his truck in his whitey-tighty, in his underwear. And he's like, what the F are you guys doing, Daddy? And we're just like, we're shooting a movie. And we look around, and the crew had disappeared. And we're just like, oh, my God, we're going to die. This is how it happens.
There's audio of like we're saying to Brian, we're like, what do we do? And he's like, run.
Yeah. We're like, we can't. It's nighttime. And then finally the crew kind of comes out, the guy calms down, disappears, and we go back to our campsite. And then we have to deal with the sheriff who was called.
Yep.
And the sheriff was like, hey, you guys know the fireworks are illegal? And we're like, no, we're sorry. We won't do it again. And then we just left South Dakota and haven't been back since.
They probably have a warrant for you.
Yeah, exactly. So that was probably that was, I think, what tainted my no surprises guys, because I don't want to go to jail or get shot by some trucker guy. Right.
So guys, whoever's watching this, when you're in South Dakota, do not light up any fireworks. This is your warning. You've been warned. You've been warned.
Don't do it.
So the movie came out in 2013. We're now 2020. There's been this large gap, and I stumbled across because I was curious. And I saw your name, Tod, and your title. What you do, and obviously you're in the film business and entertainment business, and I personally am involved in the sight loss community. I got involved in our company. Just this summer will be 6 years. And so for me, I'm always looking as I mentioned before, how do I create greater awareness? How do we do more of these webinars? How do I bring more people, like you together and share your stories and just really, create a stronger message? And so, what's it been like as far as, in the past, 6 years? I mean, is there much attention? Do people reach out to you as far as the film, or has it really been pretty quiet?
I mean, it all goes back to marketing and awareness, where it's just like people who watch the film, again, in iTunes, Google Play, Amazon, you can watch it, seem to like it. Once we finished the film, once we did a year of festivals, I did about a year of just funding marketing myself, and just got to the point where I couldn't keep doing it. It was costing too much and blah, blah, blah. But people who watch it seem to like it. It's just getting people to watch it.
Got it. So
it's not even about, to me anyways, maybe I should talk about this with Justin after this, but to me, it's not about making money or we did fundraisers. We raised about $20,000 for the Canadian version of CRF, which is Choroideremia Research Foundation.
Mm-hmm.
And we were on Canadian TV, and I just want people to see it. And if they like it and get inspired by it and get help from it, then that's amazing to me. That's all I want. So.
No, I'm sure that it's whoever does watch it. And by the way, the film is available in traditional and also with full descriptive titles, and it's great. I told you how I accidentally put on the descriptive, and that's how I found out about it. And it was definitely great. But I just want to, I know Justin, you talked about as far as what you do, Tod, and you know, Justin, you run your own company, so you have a lot more, you know, leeway. But you know, Tod, you're in Hollywood, right? You're involved. You mentioned the Real Housewives of Beverly Hills, and I have never watched it before, but I believe my wife is into.
It's the best Real Housewives ever, so don't watch any of the others. They're all trash and just copies. They're blatant ripoffs.
I'm going to have to admit my wife does watch a few of those, so I'm sure she has definitely watched. But tell me from your perspective, I know you mentioned to me, you know, you stopped driving now, and so you're commuting to work, you know, via Uber, again, non-COVID days. But tell me what it's like, you know, someone living with sight loss, what it's like working in Hollywood.
Well, I mean, first off, it sucks. Just the main problem I learned when I stopped driving was that how much stuff I have to carry on my person. You know, wallet, keys, phone, umbrellas, hoodie, hat, and so I carry a backpack now.
Right.
But other than that, I mean, luckily I can adjust my as far as work-wise, I can adjust my computer screens to my sight level. And that usually means I have a giant arrow for a mouse, and I have maybe my screens turned up extremely bright. But other than that, it's not too bad. It's doable. You could. The company and the man who did our subtitles and did our audio description is completely blind. He owns a whole company where all they do is, you know, closed captions and audio description, and he runs and he has about, I think, you know, a dozen visually people with visual impairments work for him.
Gotcha.
So,
and by the way, someone was in the process of actually introducing me to this guy. I believe this is the individual who you're referring to. It's a small world.
Is it really? Rick Boggs, that's who I'm talking about. Is that who you're talking about?
I have to look up the name, but literally someone was. Yeah.
He's an amazing guy. I think he and his wife are both fully blind. He runs and owns a company. It's amazing. So.
That's great. But and do you get any pushback at all as far as from anyone in your team, as far as your colleagues, you know, because of your sight loss?
No more than normal. When people are like, "You're faking it. You're not that blind.
Right.
You can see
throw
stuff."
keys
Well,
at
I
you.
can see I can see the penny on the floor. But I mean, I think one of the best stories. This is why I stopped driving. I think I might have told you this one already, but I haven't told Justin this one. I went to lunch with a coworker at Panda Express. Justin loves Panda Express. And I walk into the restaurant, and on the left side is all windows, super bright day. Inside the restaurant is a dark red floor. So I walk in, and basically when I walk in, because of my eyes, I have to kind of like visualize and see, kind of map it out.
Right.
So I walk in the restaurant, and to my right, there's a rug and a soda machine, and I see two guys working on the soda machine, and I see a pile of mats on the floor, and I'm like, okay, remember that. So then go get my orange chicken and get my food. And so I go sit down, put my tray down, get my soda cup, and I walk back to the soda machine, and I'm looking at the floor going, that's weird. I don't know what that is. My eyes can't process what I'm seeing. So I start tapping this large lump of what I think is mats, tapping it with my foot. And I'm like, kick, and the two guys are just watching me. I'm kick. And finally the mat starts to laugh at me. And I'm like, oh my God, that's a person in a dark clothes. And I'm kicking him.
Oh my God.
So I burned the Panda Express down and never went back. But
That's right.
That's when I stopped driving.
Got all the footage.
Like, and the whole time, my coworker's laughing at me. And I walked back and go, dude, you could have said there was a dude on the floor. And he goes, what? I got you a straw and a lid. I'm like,
oh man!
From Panda Express.
I think everyone has these types of stories, these sight loss stories, and some of them are just you have to laugh. You have to take grain of salt. And
if you don't laugh, then you just go insane. Yeah.
Yeah. So, but that's that's a good one.
At least the guy was laughing, though. At least he was laughing.
Good.
At it.
That's true.
Right.
Because I mean, I think in California would just turn around and be like, pull out his gun and shoot you.
No, and people were like, what did you say? How did you defend yourself? I just said, I can't see well. But I was more mad at the two guys standing and go, why don't you tell me there's a dude there? Like I said, banned for life, Panda Express, you're lost.
Oh, man, you're building yourself a list of where you're banned. So.
That's right.
That's true.
South Dakota, Panda Express.
Yeah. So do you have in mind to do a sequel? To do a round two?
Absolutely. If it's being fully funded by somebody else, 100%.
You know what?
We jokingly did want to do something like go to Europe and do a similar thing, but it would be if somebody. Part of it being the joke we had while we were making the movie was, somebody big's going to see the movie and they're going to love us and they're going to say, let's send them to Europe on our dime.
Right.
Yeah. So
all right. I listen. I have some ideas, so you never know.
Thank you. Well, yeah, nice. No, and we're, it could just be something like, hey, let's do a perimeter trip around a Sam's Club. That could be awesome. Let's go. There we go. There's toilet seats. This is crazy.
I want to do something along the lines with a coach bus, like a party bus, but take it across the country.
Nice.
And it's only with individuals with sight loss.
Love it.
Yeah, and I want to make a film. So I have some ideas, but we'll continue the conversation offline. But no, I think there are a lot of opportunities out there, and from our standpoint, we are going to continue to do everything we can to help promote driving blind. And I don't know if what we're going to do. I know you guys, you can go out actually and get the movie. I guess it's through iTunes and it's on Google Play. It's also available there. But hold on, guys, we are going to put the film on the Low Vision Shop where you guys can watch it at no charge. So hopefully, Todd, you boom. But I was saying, did you discuss that with your partner first? But I was like, probably not.
He didn't, but I don't care.
Okay,
yeah, I mean, I think we both just want people to see it. So
yeah, it's true.
Okay.
True.
Link it up.
We're going to link it up. So I would say, guys, check back with the on the lowvisionshop.com on the homepage. We are going to create a creative piece for that where you can click and watch. It's also going to be under the accessory menu under entertainment. It says movies. It's already there. It says coming soon. So we're going to have both options available, the standard film and also the descriptive. So anyone who wants to watch it, it's fully accessible. So we're super excited about that. And again, thank you very much for giving us the opportunity to help promote driving blind. I think it's definitely going to create additional awareness. I think the timing is everything happens for a reason in life. And I think just now the timing where everyone's got that little extra time to watch a little more, this is a great film to watch. So I encourage everyone to go out and to watch it. So stay tuned for that. Anyone have any questions? I'm going to open this up. I know everyone's been patient and we've had a nice, everyone's been hanging around there, which is great. So if anyone has any questions, again, please don't be shy. You can hit the Q&A. You can send a message through the chat. You can raise your hand. Again, anyone has any questions, please don't be shy. We'll give it a moment there, and we'll wait for that. But Todd? Are you in production now as far as the Real Housewives of Beverly Hills? Is that in production?
Yes.
Okay.
100%. We are. All the editors, everybody's working from home, remoting in basically. which is great. The alternative is not working, so we're like, okay, we'll keep working. But yeah, still working, still making quality television.
Excellent. Does that show go on what's the channel or with? I'm not big into TV, but
it's on Bravo.
Yeah, I was gonna say it's on Bravo, right?
I was gonna say with what's the host of that show? Is it Andy? No,
Andy Cohen.
Yeah. So this all the Real Housewives shows they all part of Bravo. Okay, got it. Okay.
Yep.
Okay, so I have seen some of it, but I know enough. But
you're hooked. I can tell. Nice.
Hey, Todd, you need to take this to Andy to be like the Real Housewives of COVID-19.
So
just saying, there's a show right there.
Yo, Andy.
Yeah.
Yo, Bubala.
So we have a question that came in here. It says. Let's see. It says her son has Stargardt. He loves to cook. Do you have any suggestions? That would be for you, Justin.
Just keep cooking. No, actually, I know several people in the program with me in Kentucky. Several other vendors have Stargardts. The greatest thing is first and foremost. There's if you haven't seen Master Chef, there was a Master Chef where Christine Haw.
Yes.
Was on it. First, for your son, just show him that if he's not seen that. She is legally blind, nearly blind. But the greatest thing about cooking is it has almost nothing to do with sight. It's all feel, smell, and taste. And once he gets the knife skills down, then it's going to be, he just needs to get in the kitchen and get cooking, get used to how his oven is set up, get used to how the stovetop is, his pans. But it is so much more. And Christine talks about it, like, because she can only kind of see subtle color differences. So she's like, this is red and I'm holding it and it's softer. So it's a bell pepper, not an apple, and so, right. But yeah, it's being blind or losing your sight or having issues with being low vision should not stop anyone. Because I cook all the time. I think I cook more than my wife does, just because she's busy taking care of the kid. That I just say, well, I'll cook dinner then. But yeah, no, it's phenomenal. Yes, please. The suggestions be if you can, take a class. And the greatest thing is in the training we did, we had an actual chef in New York who was teaching us in the training program, and he knew he was going to be teaching someone with vision loss, or there were 6 of us in a class and each of us had varying degrees of vision loss. But if he goes and takes a cooking class, if he wants to, letting the instructor know, I have vision impairment, I have this much vision left, this is what I can see, this is what I can't see, they should be able to accommodate to help. Everything from, there's one of our trainees was completely blind, and he learned on the kind of conduction stovetops, so like it wouldn't get hot, like everything you can buy at IKEA. You mentioned IKEA earlier. Yeah, so there's nothing stopping him, because it has very little to do with the eyes, because it doesn't have to look, he can have somebody else plate it once he has his own Michelin star restaurant. He can have somebody else plate it. He just needs to make it look, he just cook it perfectly.
Yeah, Justin, thank you so much. So actually, this is a continuation here. Yeah, Christine Ha, H-A, right? Mm-hmm. Christine Ha,
yeah,
H-A.
Christine Ha.
In fact, and we actually interviewed Christine Ha for our Visionary blog series a few years ago. She was really sweet to work with, very accommodating as well. So I'm happy that you mentioned her. And the same person here, the same question about talking about her son. This one's for you, Todd. She would love to get her son into film. Where would you recommend someone who wants to get into film, where they get started?
Well, nowadays I would say you just start filming stuff on your phone, you have an iPhone or a smartphone. Film stuff on there, and YouTube. Start on YouTube, doing your stuff, and then it's gonna, if you want to get into the big market, it's either going to be New York, Los Angeles, or Toronto is where all the big companies are, where you're going to get hired. But the first step is just film stuff with your phone, put it on YouTube, and just start creating your own art, your own vision of stuff. So.
And on a smaller scale, Sharon, I see her name. Your son, depending on where in Maryland you are, go to Baltimore, get involved with a 40-hour film project, or go to DC and get involved with a 48-hour film project.
How do I see the names?
You click on the chat button or something, and it pops up.
Oh, now I see the names. That's how blind I am.
You got to do like this, Todd. You got to be like really close. Like, what is this? What is this?
What happened? What?
But yeah, that's one of the things I did. I got involved in theater. I went to school at College Park, University of Maryland.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Really? Yeah. And so we were performing at C-SPAC, and I was in the improv troupe there. But you get it if he's going into college, get him involved in the arts, whether it's theater, improv, sketch, because it's all correlated. It's a big giant Venn diagram. They're going to be making film, and then you're going to get that's so many people that I did independent films with after I graduated from college were people that I met during college. There's a great organization called Faction of Fools in Washington D.C. They're a Commedia dell'arte troupe, and I worked with them for several years. And we made films, and several of the people who were there, they moved to Los Angeles, they moved to New York, and they're making film there. So just get involved in the arts locally, and then you can kind of stem from there. But like Todd was saying, start filming something if you have an idea. And that's one of the things that just happened this time for me with COVID. It was like I had all this food that was really bad, and I was like, well, I can just shoot a video of me making really old muffins and putting jams that like 6 different jams that I had like quarter cups of on it. Let's do it. And you just do it for fun, and then you'll start to get better. You're going to make really horrible stuff to start, and then you'll start getting better because you start learning from the people you bring on and the people that you emulate. Also just watch film and see how beautiful it is.
And that's amazing. And I want to also just add to that is that if you are scared, don't be shy. You have to go out there and overcome that fear. You got to put yourself in that uncomfortable position.
100%.
And you practice will make perfect. It's 100%. Great advice.
What I would like to people to know, people who are visually impaired to know from this is that I don't know why we're uncomfortable / ashamed to use a cane. Use it. I mean, I use my cane not all the time, but I use it in airports and crowded buildings, crowded areas, and I'll get looks from people. Oh, he's faking it. I'm like, yes, my whole goal is to fake being blind for all the bonuses I get in life. No, it's just like, use your cane. It helps you. It helps people know why you're standing there, why you look confused, why you're stumbling around. Maybe you're drunk, but you're probably blind. But it's just like, use your cane.
Yeah, I mean, O&M is really, it should be done from the start, getting your training, cane mobility, it's so important. And, one thing, you bring up another great point as far as, sight loss is an invisible condition. And so there's still that stigma of people, like for you guys, going around using your cane, right? And then maybe you pull out your cell phone and look at your phone and feel like, what's going on?
Right.
This guy's not for real.
Right.
So these are part of the, it's a big topic that I'm trying to cover. And
again, it's like, it's a long con. I'm trying to fool the world that I'm blind by using a cane, and I'm not. For what reason? I mean, it's just, I don't know why I'm ashamed to use it. I don't know why, other people are. It's just, I'm getting to the point now where I'm getting old and I don't care. So I'm just like, faking it. This is my whole goal. Fake using a cane to get to the front of the line. Okay.
Right. So, excellent. Anyone else have any other questions? Anyone want to say hello to these 2 incredible characters? Anyone out there? They want to say hello.
Yeah, where are you, Sharon?
She's Sharon, right there. She's in Germantown.
Germantown.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. And, all right. Well, if no one else has anything they want to say, I want to just thank you guys both for your time today. This has been great. I enjoy this. Hopefully you enjoyed it. I'm sure our attendees also enjoy this. And we're excited to, hold on one second. Okay, so Justin, you want to, you see that comment that just came through?
He's 45 and stuck in a restaurant?
Yeah.
Well, get him out of that restaurant. he's really, Oh, awesome. I love him. It's great. Barry, feel free to, if you have Sharon's contact information, share mine with her.
Okay.
Because we're basically the same age, so that means we're brothers. So let's do this then.
Definitely. Okay, awesome. Sharon, I will.
Todd, you're off the hook. You're no longer my brother. Get out of here.
Sharon, I have your email address. I will put you in, connect you definitely with Justin, and I'm excited
help in
about
any
that.
way that I can. I'll be happy to help.
Awesome. Awesome. Thank you. So anyway, guys, it's been great. I really enjoy this, and I hope you guys enjoy it as well.
Server? Oh my gosh, Barry, I'm sorry. I just saw the note. He's a server. And first and foremost, what's your son's name?
Oh, here he goes.
No, that's amazing. That's amazing. Because he's already ready to be an actor. He's a server.
Right.
Yeah. And I could never do that. Todd, I don't think, Todd, you ever did that. We both did fast food, but we never did like restaurant server. I mean, I expedited for a comedy club for like a week. And then I was like, as soon as the lights go down, I'm like, no, can I be the announcer? Thanks, guys. Which they let me do it. It was perfect. But yeah, no, congrats. That's awesome. But yeah, I'll talk to you, Sharon. We'll make this work.
Okay, awesome. I'm going to put you guys together. Again, thank you so much for coming on today and agreeing to do this. We're going to get the movie out there. We're going to start promote it from our side and do everything that we can to help, again, spread the awareness. I think, again, it's an amazing tool and an incredible piece of art these guys put together. So congratulations to you guys. And, if we would have connected earlier, if I would have known you earlier, we would have been doing as much earlier on. But you know what? Everything happens for a reason. So I'm glad that it's happening today. And I just want to, before we take a look here, no one else, I wish everyone stay healthy, keep that social distance. And as many of you are already living with sight loss, I'm just going to put this out there. We're going to end this off. It's like, what would be the last thing that you would want to see if you were going blind, or if you're at the point where your vision is deteriorating? So we'll end it like that. And we'll see you guys. Thanks so much.
Thank you.
Be well. Take care. Thank you.
You too.
Take care, Todd. Take care, Justin. Thank you.
All right. Bye, Barry.
Bye-bye.